Jets fans, I'm sorry. This phrase keeps coming up. The Jets just going to jet. And last night just felt like the Jets just jetting, a game where you felt like, hey, this is their best chance, right? Trent Williams missed all training camp. Ayuk's going to be rusty. Christian McCaffrey didn't even play. He was inactive. And I agree with you, Florio. That was my biggest takeaway. The strength of the Jets just got dismantled. The 49ers said, hey, we're going to run. There were open lanes all over the field. The Jets, as Bill Belichick used to say in our meetings, defensive line, just because the offensive line is running sideways with their zone blocking, we cannot run sideways with them. We have to get up the field, penetrate, get off blocks, make tackles. And I mean, Mason was into the secondary so often last night. Just the loss was one thing, but the way they lost, I thought was surprising because San Fran attacked the Jets' biggest strength, which is their front seven. And obviously their secondary is pretty good too, but their front seven is a strength, and they just got killed all game.
Yeah, Devin, it was the defense last year that helped the Jets avoid a complete and total disaster of a season once they went into quarterback carousel mode and their offense couldn't do jack diddly squat. So it's a very simple analysis, which qualifies me to engage in it. We still have a great defense. Aaron Rodgers is back. Offense is going to be better. Team is going to be better. Last night's outcome, the offense really didn't get a chance to get into a rhythm. That one really nice drive that made me think, hey, maybe the Jets showed up to play tonight. But when you just can't stop a rushing attack, Kyle Shanahan, you saw that in the clip at the beginning, 37 attempts, 28 by Jordan Mason, undrafted in 2022 out of Georgia Tech, pressed into service. I will find a spot in this segment to speak my mind about how that all played out as well. But the most rushing attempts since Kyle Shanahan became the head coach. And every once in a while, you will see the folks who are smarter than everyone else spout off stats about, well, when so-and-so carries the ball X numbers of times, and when you rush for this many yards, your record is this. It's easy to win when you're able to run that much. You can't just come out and say, we're going to run the ball 37 times, because if you're running into a brick wall, you're not going to be able to run the ball 37 times. You only run it that many times because it is successful and you keep doing it.
I think the Jets wanted to run that many times. You look, the amount of carries they gave Breece Hall, they weren't getting any yards. And Flora, you hit it right on the head. You look, the 49ers dominated the game because they had the ball all game. The Jets offense, that third drive of the game that you spoke about, they were able to move the ball. They still couldn't really run the ball that well. But Breece Hall, I think he got one carry that had some yardage. He had a catch that he got some yards. And then it was all Garrett Wilson all the way down the field. And that is what we thought the formula would be. Play good defense, get the ball, let Aaron Rodgers run the ball, control it. I saw one of the best moments of why you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. He gets them in New England, we used to call this Green Bay, strictly because of Aaron Rodgers. He gets the 49ers to jump off sides, gets the ball better than any other quarterback. He doesn't throw the ball 5 yards over a guy's head. It's a free play. So what does he do? He looks one way and he knows he's going to come back and fire the ball on the side, and they score a touchdown to Lazard. But you're like, that's what we want to see all game. But I still think for this team, it has to be about their defense. And I think one of the takeaways can't be, well, they played a good 49ers team, so this is understandable. Not where the Jets want to be this year. If you want to be a real deal contender, you want to play with the best teams, the Baltimores, the Kansas Cities, supposedly the Bengals, you want to play with those teams, you got to come out and play your best football against the best teams in the NFL, because that's your time. That's your chance to show it. And last night to me was very disappointing. Other than that third drive, the best other drive was when Tyrod Taylor came in at the end of the game, which he drove them down the field and scored a touchdown, but it was a little too late at that point.
Allen Lazard ends up with 2 touchdown catches, one from Rodgers, one from Taylor at the end. Lazard, who was basically MIA last year after Rodgers wasn't there to continue that relationship that resulted in the Jets bringing him in. Final score 32-19. That's a scoreagami, by the way, for those of you who score at home on scoreagami. 31-19 was the final score of Super Bowl 14. 32-19 was the final score last night. First time ever in NFL history. It's the 1,085th unique score since the NFL's been around. So 32-19, cross it off. It's happened now. It took 105 years and 1 week to get to 32-19. I thought it would be closer, Devin. I thought what would happen last night, Jets would acquit themselves well. They would feel like we can play with the 49ers. The 49ers would eke out a win, and the Jets would be propelled into this stretch they have the first half of the season where they have not one but two Sunday to Thursday turnarounds, including next. They go home. Then they go to Tennessee. Then they come home. Then here come the Patriots on Thursday night. Between the 9th and the 19th, they will have played 3 games. How do you process getting your ass kicked physically last night with the next train is already on the tracks? How do you do that when you know you've got to play so much to start the season? How do you put behind you as a defense how things went last night?
Sometimes the best thing is that there is another train on the track. You don't have time to sit there and wonder what went wrong. You don't have that. And it's not like a long time whenever people talk about this. It's just one day. When you play on Sunday and you come in Monday, you're going to work out, you're going to get a quick little run in or maybe get in the pool, whatever teams decide to do. And then for the rest of that Monday, it's digging deep into the film. It's going through what went wrong. Why it's first sitting down with your head coach probably in a longer meeting. Then it's splitting up offense, defense. Then it's splitting up again into individual meetings. And you just have to hear over and over again the same kind of things of what you messed up. When you play on a Monday night, we don't have time. You're going to be off today, and then Wednesday, it's time to start talking about the Titans. It's time to move on. And New England, sometimes, depending on how the game went, Bill would have a quick, maybe 25-minute meeting in the morning to kind of pick up where we left off, review the game real quick, and kind of close the book on it. But sometimes if the game was this poorly played, he's already circled after that Thursday night game against the Jets. That's going to be the time we go back over this game and we dig deep into it. But for this team, I think it's going to be good for them to acknowledge what happened. I'm sure Salah will speak about it when he comes in Wednesday morning, but they won't have time to really the lowlights get ripped in film session. You don't have time for that. You move on to Tennessee. And I think for this team, you still should have the same goals and things that you had circled up what you want to do in the season. Here's a time now to go on the road, go play Tennessee, and then have an opportunity to come back and play against, we'll see how it goes against Seattle this week for New England. But this could be a team who at one point was going to be the worst team, and they've always been a division foe that you have to play. But now they might come in either 1-1 or 2-0, coming off 2 really good weeks. So it'll be a challenge, I think, these next 2 weeks for the Jets. But they have the veteran leadership where this shouldn't be an issue, that this should kind of evolve into a 4-week, 5-week thing for them. They should be able to kind of flip the page and move on and play football.
Long flight home from San Francisco across the country to have to think about it, deal with it, and try to hit a hard reset button so you can get ready for the fact that in 5 days they'll be in Nashville taking on the Titans. As a game like last night was unfolding, not that this happened very often to your New England Patriots, but when it's just not working defensively. And I've been at games where you're close enough to the sideline and guys come off the field throwing their helmets down, yelling, what the F is going on out there? And you have, limited opportunities to try to get things righted, and you just can't no matter what you do. What do you do during to try to change what's happening when a team is just cramming it down your throat over and over again?
Well, you go back to 2021 season, we go up to Buffalo in the playoffs, and first time in NFL history where a team scored on every possession that they had the ball on. So you talk about things not working. And I think the hard thing about that is when that happens, your defensive coordinator, whoever it is, they go and they play zone. They go and play man. Then they blitz. When you can't stop anything, you just say, you know what, let's throw out the whole playbook. Let's give them everything we got. So I think as a player, you need usually somebody or a couple guys to be like, hey guys, it's not about the calls. It's not about anything else other than we need to step up and start playing better football. We need to be tougher. And like you watch the game, some of those running plays, it wasn't about anything schematically. It was just somebody had to say, hey, I'm going to make a play. And I thought Mason did an unbelievable job as the game got going on. He just kept running harder and harder. He was getting, like, you could see these plays. He straight into the secondary. And then once he got in the secondary, he was making sure guys weren't willing to say, you know what, I'm going to come up and tackle this guy because he's running through tackles. And it goes back to, again, and the defensive line, you can't just take on your blocker and think, hey, I'm going to run him back or I'm going to stay on him, because the hole started to open up. And I have to say, that is probably the best thing about watching San Francisco is they play a style. And, Troy Aikman talked about it on the call, talking to Kyle Shanahan. He's not really into investing top money into a bunch of offensive linemen. He said, I want to invest in guys who can run and score with the football. And that's what it looked like. This offensive line did a really good job. He said, you get the guys that fit together, they go out there and play, but then it's the guys with the ball in their hands. And I thought it was another opportunity for us to see how special Deebo Samuel is. And I know Mason got a ton of carries and did a great job of going out there and taking advantage of his opportunity as a late round pick. But Deebo Samuel, without Christian McCaffrey, had the ability to catch the ball, run the ball. He just does everything for this team. And since adding Christian McCaffrey, I think we saw what Christian McCaffrey is and how he really dominates it. But when they lose him, Deebo Samuel just comes in and fulfills all those different roles like it's nothing. It's really special to watch Deebo do those things.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.